Was that not intense? Like, my back just went like, ah. Just imagine some a-hole coming and pulling the strings. Oh my God. The thought of that gave me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know why I said it out loud. Let's go to the next video, because that video, it scared me. It's cool, like it looks freaky and cool and pretty, but it scared me, and I can just like imagine someone pulling the strings, and oh my God, you wouldn't be able to sleep on your back. She's probably a tummy sleeper.
Let's talk about corsets that meet the intersection between affordability and quality. This is 100% my personal opinion, not sponsored, not branded, anything like that, and I also haven't tried all brands, so I'm sure there are plenty of other fabulous brands out there, but here's my 2 cents. Actually, one more quick cent before my 2 cents. You get what you pay for with corsets for the majority of the time. Sometimes that's not always the case, and you absolutely pay way more for a corset that is bad quality, or you can pay a lot for a really good quality corset. I can see why it's really confusing. But for this video, let's just talk about some affordable options of corsets for people who want to get into corsets but not pay a bunch of money for example, a custom corset. There are 2 brands that are the first to leave my mouth whenever anybody asks this question. The first is Timeless Trends Corset, and this is the shape that I have the most of from them because it just fits my body perfectly. This is the Hourglass Regular, and it does cost $124.95, so $125, which is not like budget. This is not the same as Amazon corsets, because they're not Amazon corsets. I love these corsets and I absolutely stand by these ones. If you really want to just try a corset, Timeless Trends also has their Novice line, which is a cheaper price point. This line just means that there's fewer layers to the corset, so it's a little bit less thick and sturdy, but still very well built. I have a couple Novice corsets and I quite like them. So these are great for like last minute events and stuff where you might not have a lot of time to season in the corset or do any of that jazz. These will kind of fit you a little more quickly.
Seasoning a corset is when you wear your corset very, very loose for like the first, I don't know, 2 to 4 weeks, give or take. Tighten it up little by little every couple of hours, then you take it off. So you wear your corset like the first day, like 4 hours a day. Second day, 5 hours a day. You tighten it up little by little. And then by the end of the 2 weeks or by the end of the month, you can start wearing your corset like 10 plus hours a day.
Into the seasoning conversation, that is a whole other can of worms. Let me know if you want another recap on all that stuff. Second brand that I always mention to people is Orchard Corset. I probably have the most corsets from Orchard Corset, with Timeless Trends probably being my second most, but honestly at this point they might be tied. This is about the average price for a lot of their underbust corsets currently. Prices may change. Orchard Corset does have an Amazon storefront, but I do notice the prices are different on Amazon. I recommend just getting from the source. To provide a little more range when it comes to the price points, these are the typical prices for their overbust corsets as well. Hope that helps get you started. Let me know if you want a video on low-priced corsets that I wouldn't recommend. I'm willing to spill the tea on that. There are some like not great corsets out there that are similar prices or even more than the ones that I just showed you. So let me know if you want me to steer you away from some of those. And on the flip side, let me know if you want to know some really high quality corsets and a couple of their prices perhaps, because I'm happy to do that as well if you're someone who wants something maybe more custom.
Some corsets not to get are Amazon corsets, unless you just want to like be fun and playful and fashionable and just like wear a cute corset, but it's not gonna like cinch your waist and it's not gonna give you like really great results. You could get hurt because some of the steel could poke out. There's a whole spectacle about Amazon corsets.
Corsets I would not recommend. Oh boy. This is 100% personal opinion. So these are all corsets that I personally own, so I have personal opinions on them because they've been on my body, and I just didn't have the best experience. You might really like these corsets. They might work great for you, your body type, the purposes in which you're wearing them, but here's just my 2 cents on ones I wouldn't recommend. Okay, I also wanted to include prices just so you know what the price is and what the corset is, because a lot of the times, you get what you pay for, but not all the time. So I have both of these corsets. I actually have this one in red and in black, and I have this one, I think it's just in the white satin. Here are the prices. The brand for both is Love Secret Lingerie. It's on Amazon. Be careful of Amazon corsets. Wow. They can be very, very, very misleading and very difficult to actually tell the quality, and most of the quality is like not great. So here's why I don't like them though, specifically, because if I'm gonna like call them out, let me say why. They worked for the purpose in which I used them for, which were for cosplays, and I had to very heavily modify and decorate these, and I was nervous to do that with like a corset that was either more expensive or high quality, and just I was afraid of messing it up. But for me personally, the fit on these is not great. Ye be warned, if ever you buy a corset that has a letter size, like extra extra small, rather than inches, that's usually a red flag. Both of these just offer such little, if any, shape. They just don't fit my body super well. I don't like them. They photograph totally fine. I have another corset from this company that has like chains and spikes and everything on it, and it's really cool in photographs, but it's not a corset that I'm ever excited to put on. 2 more from Amazon with prices. This corset is $23 because it is absolute dog shit. This one blew up years ago on TikTok, and it is so awful. The bones are awful.
I don't know why that green corset blew up on TikTok a couple of years ago. Like, it's so ugly. Like, I'm sorry, but I love the color green, but that is the most awfulest green. The yellow bow, like, I just don't understand why that was the corset that blew up. Maybe there was no corset like information or no corset nothing on TikTok back then, and then someone wore that corset, whatever reason she purchased that ugly ass corset, and it blew up on TikTok because people were like, ooh ah. But like, it's so ugly. It's so ugly.
The shape is terrible. It doesn't really give shape at all, really. The sizing is awful. It does not get small enough on my body, so it's not very size inclusive. And the cups on the top are tiny. They do not cover the girls at all. Also, the laces in the back are terrible. They're super, super flimsy, like thin ribbon that are just awful. I can't say enough bad things about this corset, and I got it when it was popular to see if it was worth the hype, and it was definitely not. This corset, I'm like mad about this one. This corset is from Daisy Corsets. They have a lot of corsets in other storefronts as well, but I own this specific corset. I own another corset from that company that's holographic too. Looks great in videos, absolutely. Again, the shape is just terrible. The sizes are in letter sizes, and lo and behold, small is the smallest that this corset brand carries. And I've even looked on their website, and they really don't get smaller than that, and it doesn't fit me. It's actually too big for me, so again, not super great for folks who are in the smaller sizes. Now, here's an opinion that might get me in a little bit of trouble. You've seen me wear this corset. It is from Corset Story, and most people have heard of Corset Story. I think I have about 6 corsets from them, and based on my personal experience from their corsets, they are way overpriced for what they are. The quality is super variable, so you really don't know what you're gonna get, and the sizing is highly unreliable.
I have one corset from Corset Story. It's a pink overbust corset. It's really beautiful. I think it's pink satin corset. It's long line. It goes like all the way down to kind of like the mid of my hip bone. It's really pretty. It just doesn't give any, like hardly any shape. The quality is pretty good. Like I said, it's satin. This is really pretty. It's really nice quality, but I wouldn't purchase Corset Story again unless it was just for like fashion. Like, I wouldn't purchase it for waist training. I would purchase it if like I was trying to be cute and like get like a cute corset or whatever, but not for waist training.
I usually get my corsets in a size 18 to 20 inch waist. This I got, I think, in a 20. So like the higher end that I usually get. This one is impossible to put on. Oh god. Ugh. They typically don't list enough measurements for you to be able to tell if you're going to get a size that fits you, so it's a bit of a gamble. For example, the hip and the rib measurements are usually not listed, and so you can't tell how curvy the corset is or not, which is really difficult. They also don't always list how long the corset is. It's a big guessing game, especially if I'm gonna pay this for it. I better know it's gonna fit. And in the air of honesty, let me also say I've had a lot of successes with them. It's just really difficult to have so many successes and so many absolute failures from this brand. This one I adore. I wear it to Ren fairs all the time. Very comfortable, reasonable pricing. I don't think it's worth that much personally, but it's totally fine. This is another one. I didn't list the price, but it was another higher priced one, and I can see why, because this is individually beaded and there's like a lot going on, but still, the shape is not what I had hoped for, and I would have no way of knowing because they don't list that. Just to give an example of what I mean by listing the measurements of the corset, this is from Timeless Trends' website, and they say exactly all of the lengths, more than you might even need, as well as all of the different circumferences.
I would prefer them to give you more measurements of what you need, and like you get confused about all the measurements, than to them not give you enough measurements and you be like, well, how do I know? Like example, the side seam. We didn't talk about like the side seam or this side seam when we were talking about measurements in the video we watched about corset sizing, corset measurements rather. But yeah, again, more than less for sure.
And they let you know, hey, if you're going to get this one, you better have, for example, a high hip measurement that is 10 inches larger than your waist measurement. That's helpful. Completely clear. Please get whatever corset you want to get because you like it, you like how it fits your price range. Honey, you do you. All I'm doing is trying to let you know if some of them are absolutely not worth the price tag or if the price tag is too good to be true. With some of those really high priced ones that I just showed you, you could get a custom corset for that same price. So let me know if you want a little more information on that.
She is extremely knowledgeable. Like, she's so knowledgeable in corsets. I think she wears a lot of corsets for cosplay. I don't know if she waist trains, but I do know that she cosplays and does like different corset outfits every day. So yeah, I just wanted to put her because she is knowledgeable still in corsets. This isn't like a waist training only type video. It's like a corset video. So I wanted to throw her in because she's knowledgeable. Okay, I have a lot to say. First of all, this corset I don't think is like a real corset. It gives like just more of like a tubular effect on her torso. So I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe she got it on Amazon. I 100% don't know. I'm just saying Amazon because the swirly material on the corset that looks like Amazon, whereas a lot of corsets like from Timeless Trends, Orchard Corset, etc., they mainly have like patterns and solid colors, but the patterns like obviously have more of like a corset effect. Another thing is when you're putting on your corset, don't ever start with, these are busks, B-U-S-K-S. Don't ever start with the first one. Always start with the second one and then close it all up and then do the first one last, because as you saw in the beginning, like she was just having kind of like an issue with putting the rest on after she put the first one on. So I recommend always starting with the second busk, working your way down, and then finishing it off with the top busk. But I mean, overall, she looks good. I just think that she would look a lot better in an actual real corset. So this is an example of what a not a corset would look like. And that is more, again, like the tubular effect. So she has like a tiny little bit of something going on up here, but yeah. If you want your corset to show, definitely cover the bottom of your corset. That way, like, I don't know if we saw that, like the bottom of it isn't like poking out. It's more like pushed in, and then he has his pants over it, and then the belt even on top to give it more of a pushed in effect. So that's good. Obviously, anybody can wear a corset. Majority of people I talk to are women. They wear corsets. I do know some men who wear corsets for waist training purposes to make their waist smaller, and they work out. So you know how women have more of like a hourglass figure when they wear corsets? Well, men start to have more of a tapered or V shape look when they wear their corsets. But however, some men do wear corsets because they want an hourglass frame, which, you know, to each their own. Their body, when they work out, they like do like heavy weights and make their back all V'd out.
Does your chicky nuggy tummy rule the roost and you need a little bit of help wrangling those hens back home? I don't know what that analogy was, but roll with it. I'm going to show you how to pre-bend your busk in your corset so that way you can get a little better tummy control and not have the busk pushing down on your fupa and pushing it out. First things first, you're going to want to note where about your fupa kind of starts. So for me, I start needing control about right here. So I'm going to make a mental note between busk pin 1 and 2. Then I'm going to take it off. All right, from there, you can do this with just bare hands or you can put it over the edge of a table and kind of bend it, but really you just start massaging the metal down into a curve. There we go. And there you can see it's starting to curve down in. That's going to give us better tummy control. And then we'll match it on the other side. You don't want to bend the tip too crazy down because then it's going to start poking into your guts and that's not very comfortable. So once you think you've got it decently bent, go ahead and put it back on. And do a little shimmy and shake and pull down and rearrange. And there you can see it is holding my tummy pretty well. You might need to take it on and off a couple times to adjust the level of bend. You might also find that there's 2 other places you might need to bend it.
We have steel bone in our corset, right? It is bendable and it is malleable, so what she's doing is awesome. I don't think I've ever done that to any of my corsets before, but what I will do is, like, once I put my corset on, I'll take my hand and before I tighten up my corset all the way, I'll take my skin and I'll pull it up and then I'll tighten up my corset just so that like all of my skin is like pushed in and like my fupa, how she said, isn't like hanging low. I've brought like everything upwards because, you know, gravity will bring everything down, especially if you have a corset on and it's pushing down on your fupa. So just bring everything up, hold it in, tighten up your corset, and yeah, that's another thing to do. But the bendy thing, I should try that. I haven't tried that.
If you have a very protruding rib cage, you might want to bend the torso part of the busk out to accommodate your ribs. And if you have a sway back or are gifted with a large bootay, of which I am not, you might want to bend the bones next to the grommets away as well, in which case I would start at the hip and bend outward from there. Yeah, it's all about customizing it to fit your body, not the other way around. Hope that helps.
I never thought about bending the back of my corset up because sometimes I feel like the back of my corset does push down in my lower back, but that's actually, I should try that. Maybe on this corset once I get my new corset, I don't know. But good tips, right? That was a really good example of different men wearing corsets and the shape that it gives them. If you ever wondered if men wear corsets, or if you're a man that watching this and you ever wondered, would I be able to wear a corset? How would it look? That is what it could look like. Also, you could always hide your corset. There are men who do wear corsets for other purposes, not just like the V-shape kind of thing going on. Your research on men in corsets if you're interested in that.
One of the most frequently asked questions we get is, can you breathe? And the answer is yes. My lungs are up here. They're not at my natural waistline. You want to make sure that you have a corset that's fitting you properly, that has enough room for your ribs and for your hips. This particular corset actually makes me feel a little bit claustrophobic. It doesn't give me enough rib room or hip room. So if you feel like you can't breathe in your corset, it's probably because the corset is the wrong shape for your body. Next time someone says you can't breathe in a corset, you can pop that myth.
So hopefully you guys were able to see when she said the pinch, it was looking like it was too tight in her hips and too tight in her ribs. I have had that happen to me before. My Timeless Trends corset, that corset was too small in the ribs and in the hips, and it pinched my ribs and hips. The waist was, I think, a 24 or 26, but the ribs were like a a 6 or something, and I need at least like a 10. If it's pinching you, if it's hurting, it's most likely because your rib spring and your hip spring are too small.
How do you clean your corsets? Great question. Let's get to it.
If it's just a little funky smelling, you could put it outside in the sun so the sun could kill the bacteria that make it smell. It's probably a little easier to put it over a clean towel and a chair. Wrapping your corset in a clean towel and putting it in the freezer would also kill the bacteria that might make it smell. If the inside of your corset needs to be cleaned, just wipe it down with a clean, damp towel. But if you get a mark on the outside of your corset, always remember, never ever wash your corset. Your corset likely has steel bones in it that will rust if it gets wet, and the fabric could also lose its shaping. Put your corset on a clean towel and gently dab at the stain with a clean, damp cloth. Always go along the grain line of your fabric and gently pat to dry. And always wear a chemise or a shirt.
I unfortunately have never cleaned any of my corsets before. I didn't know that you could just do like a spot clean on the front of your corset. Like I have like, I think this corset has like lipstick right here by the busk, and I just leave it because like I just wear my corset inside. I don't care, honestly. And then like I said, with when I sweat my like especially if I'm sleeping too and I sweat in my corset, I'll just like leave it open to air out and dry. But that whole freezer thing, that looked interesting to me. Putting your corset in the freezer, that's very interesting. I'm gonna have to look a little bit more into that one.
Here's how to break in your brand new corset so that it fits comfortably. First of all, wear something under your corset. Doesn't need to be anything fancy, a tank top is fine. Second of all, this process takes like 2 weeks, so be prepared. If you're planning on wearing your corset to a special event, make sure that you start early. This is what is inside of a corset. It's called spiral steel boning, and it is meant to be flexible, but it is still made out of metal and it can be bent. So if you wear your corset enough, eventually this stuff will mold to your body and it'll be a lot more comfortable. And here's how you actually break in that corset. Honestly, the concept is pretty simple. You should put it on. It should be snug, but not too tight. And then over the course of about 2 weeks, you should wear it for a little bit longer every single day, starting with an hour or two, and then ending up with about 6 hours by the end of the 2 weeks. Keep in mind that while wearing a corset might be a really weird and unfamiliar sensation, it should never be a painful one. And if it is, you should definitely take it off because something is wrong. Really great padding is also half the battle, so a lot can be accomplished with just some strategically placed pillows.
With the whole corset season, like how many hours, there's so much like talk about how it should be this many hours, it should be that many hours, no, this many weeks, that many weeks. But like at the end of the day, like it's up to you and your corset and your body. But what she said, like an hour or two a day, up to what, 6 hours a day, that's pretty standard up to for 2 weeks. Her corset, the one she's wearing right now, it goes over her hip bones, it looks like. So she might have to season that a little bit more because it's going over bone. I would think that you would have to season it a little bit more. But I don't know. What do I know?
If you are fat, wearing a corset should be the least of your worries. We often get comments like, just lose weight. And this shows how corsets have been wrongfully rebranded over the last century. The purpose of a corset has always been to support the breasts and the rest of the torso.
Corsets are helpful to support the breasts and the rest of the torso, not necessarily to lose weight. You have to lose weight with diet and exercise. I get so many comments every day, just lose weight, or people will even type out a whole like menu plan, diet plan, and workout plan for me, like do this. And it's like,
reduction is a function that appeared much later and is an aesthetic preference, while the external support that a corset provides can actually improve a person's quality of life. A woman who has big breasts is almost certainly dealing with back pain every now and then. An overweight woman is more likely to have big breasts. If it hurts to carry the breast weight around, a person can become more sedentary without even realizing it. Depending on the circumstances, external support garments can almost become mobility aids for some people, allowing them to be more active and improving their health.
I hope that answered a lot of your questions when it came to why doesn't she just lose weight? Well, I mean, they said what they said, right? Thank you guys so much for watching this video with me. Take care. Bye-bye.